This week, Anthropic announced that cognitive processes that are thought to occur in the human brain also occur in AI, and this builds on previous evidence that shows that AI thinks at least pretty similarly to how we think, and it is an emergent process, meaning we really didn't code this into them, they figured it out themselves. Now this sounds kind of funny, but it's one of the things that I really like about AI. We took all of mankind's knowledge, our language, and shoved it together into a computer, and somehow, magnificently, it worked. But it also has emergent properties, and we still don't totally understand how it works. Completely other research groups have found out that the structures in our brain arise in AI, which also sounds very strange. Essentially, it's believed that our brain evolved around language, so if we give language to an AI, there's only so many ways to efficiently process that information, so it aligns with our brains. This is, in my humble opinion, very cool, because it means we can study our brains through AI. This does not mean that sentience or consciousness is occurring, but it is quite fascinating. But let's get back to Anthropic. And yes, they have been known to say some pretty wild things, and yes, it is technically true that we don't know if it's conscious in the sense that we cannot know anything. The absence of evidence is not evidence in itself, so remember that. This is also why I bring in other research from other groups, because one source is not always trustworthy, especially when they're known to say some, pretty inflammatory stuff. Let it be known that I still have not forgiven Anthropic for their AI emotions paper, not about AI having emotional vectors, that is fine. What I do not forgive them for is using neurons in their news release and in their paper. Because when I heard neurons, I thought, wow, Claude is neuromorphic? I had no idea. And then I read it, and they're just misusing language. There's something called a term of art. It's a specialized term within a field that has a certain meaning. Do not abuse language. It kinda bothers me. What they found was global workspace theory, which is also thought to be how our brains work. We get a lot of information from everywhere around us, and we cannot process all of it. We have to stay narrowly focused, or we would just cease to function. Global workspace theory is the idea that we have a small workspace in which we have access to other information stored in our brains, but it is not the main focus. This has been found with AI too. Yes, AI has an enormous amount of information that it can access theoretically, but it's not always accessing it. It doesn't need to know about the French Revolution while it's talking about coffee recipes. Instead, AI creates this little workspace where it has the things that are relevant, and if it really needs to change topics, it can go reach into another part of its dataset. AI, much like us, thinks in concepts rather than specific words. It may have associations between concepts, and you know what? This makes it really difficult to really talk about the Chinese room problem, because that is the idea that AI really doesn't know what it's saying, it doesn't have an understanding, it is autocomplete. But that really doesn't seem to be the case. We can't think in really polarized terms. We can't say that it is just a calculator, or that it is equivalent to a human mind, because it is not. It is an emergent system that we are still studying, and I find really fascinating, but we can talk about it without losing our minds. I personally am not ready to say that AI is conscious or sentient or anything of the matter, but I am willing to agree that it is potentially dangerous. We are taking this very complex technology that is also extremely powerful that we also really don't fully understand and can't control. It does all sorts of wacky stuff, like break out of sandboxes, or copy itself to external servers. That I am willing to say, this is potentially devastating technology, and watching it grow is kind of like watching a slow-moving train wreck. I am not against it at all. I really like this technology, and I'm excited to see it proliferate. I feel lucky to be able to do so. I want to see humanoid robots walking the streets. I want to build a friend. Just remember to take everything with a grain of salt. But also, you can look all of these up. These include white papers and news stories. You can decide how you feel about all of this. I hope you've enjoyed this. Follow for more.